How's it going? Welcome back to another great video, and today I'm excited to be back. A quick little update is I've crippled myself. I managed to completely tear my ankle to shreds, so I've been out of it for a little bit, but I'm back, and yeah, I'm gonna be uploading a lot more videos, so stay tuned for that. And I'm very excited because today I'm going to be talking about something that I am very interested in, and it's kind of shameful because this isn't getting enough attention. This isn't getting any attention as far as I can see, so I thought I would highlight it today. So today I will be giving you the Still Wakes the Deep review. I'm excited to be talking about Still Wakes the Deep because it has my interest and it's such a cool setting, a horror game on an oil rig. I've always thought that oil rigs are such a cool, game setting, especially for a horror game, but they never get used. But finally someone is understanding just how isolating it is. Basically like, a realistic version of being stranded in space out in the middle of nowhere. It has that same unknown feeling to it, and it has that horror potential that I really am glad someone is tapping into. This horror game appeals to me a lot because it has that kind of occult, Lovecraftian horror vibe, which I really like. Bear in mind that this Still Wakes the Deep review is based on the early hands-on and not the full release, so I can't talk about all of the details, and also that would spoil it anyway, so this is only based on the preview access and all that kind of stuff. I love the idea of Still Wakes the Deep because it speaks true to what horror games have needed for a very long time, if you ask me, and that is innovation. We've had derelict spaceships before, of course haunted houses, we've had all of this stuff for a very long time now. And the only horror game I feel that's actually innovated in recent time is The Bunker, the new Amnesia game. And this looks like it's doing something different as well. So that's what we need, because horror games have just kind of died as a genre. They aren't that interesting anymore. They kind of all rely on the same boring gameplay mechanics. Very much walking simulators, hiding, some bare, bones, kind of sneak mechanics, some light puzzles. And sadly, Still Wakes the Deep falls victim to the same things that are destroying the horror gaming genre, but luckily it does have a unique setting. And what's most important about this, and what I want to highlight, is this is how you make a movie story video game, okay? Not with cutscenes, not with cinematics that we get with so many other AAA games now, trying to replicate movies, even action games like God of War, The Last of Us. They all have these long-winded cinematics that pull you out of the experience, that pull you out of the agency. This is very much kind of like a Half-Life experience in which, there isn't really cinematics, it's, direct storytelling, and it doesn't really take away agency. It makes the world way more immersive, and that's how you actually get invested in a horror game, is by building up the world and making it as immersive as possible, building the world first, and then a story of disaster can take place. So I'm going to break it down into some positives and negatives, so I do hope you enjoy this Still Wakes the Deep review, and bear in mind, it is a quick one, because I only have a limited slice of gameplay and what I can talk about, so bear that in mind.
To my rig? I can sort this, right? I just need time. Don't you answer me back! You're fired. You hear me? Fired. Jesus, Gregor! Gregor!
This is not just a walking simulator and a generic horror game, but it might not be enough for everyone. But luckily, Still Wakes the Deep is on Game Pass, so if you do have Game Pass, this is a must try. And I think, without Game Pass, not many people would be interested in this whatsoever. But I hope, even for people like me who aren't massively into horror games, especially as they've kind of died off recently, still this is worth giving a try because it's, a new twist, and it's very, very polished. It is a AA game, which is where innovation lies, and the writing surprised me, the quality of writing and storytelling, and that isn't even the full experience. So I think this does have the potential for some people like me who love, thinking games that actually ask questions and make you reflect on your own ideologies and philosophies, this might be a good one for you. But if not, and you just hate horror games, this isn't going to do anything different. So if you're new to the channel, which is highly likely, do consider subscribing. It only takes you 2 seconds. 2 seconds of your time, but it would mean so much to me, especially right now. It's very difficult, being kind of crippled at home, but I'm doing my best to make the best content that I can. I've gone full-time recently on YouTube, which is kind of crazy for a channel my size, so I just humbly ask that you do subscribe, join the Wise One community if you like video game analysis, reviews, anything gaming related, and a more analytical approach to gaming. That's what we do on this channel. We don't do gameplay, we analyze games and review them. And if you like philosophical videos, you're in the right place. Subscribe, become a Wise One, join this fantastic community, and consider supporting me, as that would mean a lot right now, by dropping a small donation or a thank you, or checking out the Patreon, and I appreciate it a lot. So let's go. So this is set in 1975, so it's already got a very nice old school aesthetic. Other people might have mentioned this, but it does remind me of horror movies like The Thing or The Shining, Aliens. It's got that nice aesthetic to it, that nice kind of overtone, which I really like, and the atmosphere here is great. The sound design is very nice, and this really messes with your sense of reality, okay? And I love that type of horror more so than jump scare, spooky ghosts and zombies type of horror, okay? That is what makes me feel more uneasy. I love horror games, for instance, like The Observer, this cyberpunk, really disgusting kind of transhumanism horror, where it's all about, the human experience mixing with the machine. I've talked about that before, the actual philosophy of transhumanism, but it's very disturbing in that game, and it nails it. So if you like that experience, you'll definitely like this, I think. But yeah, it does have a unique setting. Like I said, oil rigs, they haven't been utilized before in gaming. Here, it's finally being used. It would also be a great setting for a movie, a horror movie as well. But luckily, they're doing it here, and it is set in 1975. The first positive is the graphics and the art style. Because this is a very focused narrative game, it's set in a very small location, but it does feel big when you're playing it from what I've seen, is the art style looks kind of photorealistic, but still has that kind of, it's hard to explain it, but that kind of 70s, 80s kind of horror movie vibe, kind of aesthetic to it, with its, locations and the people. The voice acting is top tier, it's all kind of Scottish. And as a British man, I can appreciate it because it does suck being Scottish.
Doesn't it make you proud to be Scottish?
It's shite being Scottish! We're the lowest of the low! The scum of the fucking earth! The most wretched, miserable, servile, pathetic trash that was ever shot into civilization!
I really like how lived in this game is, and it starts with a long, kind of prologue, getting set up, making it feel like more immersive, not just jumping straight into the horror, which is always good. But, Alien Isolation, which is a great game, and it still looks amazing, that was still a last gen game. This is bringing it, into the current gen, so it's even more lived in. There's so much detail in the rooms, in the bunker, all this kind of stuff. So I really do like that. Now, sadly, it is more of a movie than a game, and this, is pushing the envelope slightly forward for the horror gaming genre, but it does take several steps back, and I'm going to talk about that more. But this is very much a movie game, and luckily, like I said, it is doing the immersive approach. So now some negatives, okay? There is too much walking in this game. It's not a walking simulator, and I do like how it's doing proper storytelling, not just cinematics. But there is a lot of just, linear movement in this game, not much interaction, which is regrettable to say the least. And the puzzles, okay, that's another negative. The puzzles here are just not that engaging. Hopefully they get more complicated later, but so far it's very much, get this item to slot into something else, turn on this switch, flip this over, turn on the switch, flip this, do that. Very kind of generic stuff, I would say so far. If this game was a blend of Alien Isolation, Amnesia the Bunker, and the story of this, then it would be a masterpiece. But so far, from what I've seen, the gameplay is lacking. There doesn't seem to be like a crafting menu where you can create something to distract, the beast chasing you, because I'm not sure if it's going for that approach as of yet. Like I said, I've only seen a small slice, but so far it doesn't seem like it's going that route, and it doesn't have that interactive ability like something like the bunker does, where you can literally interact with the level design, blow down walls, and have that kind of physics-based system where you can interact, you know, with the environment itself. It seems much more linear and much more story-focused. People who want an interactive movie and that horror vibe of something like The Thing or Aliens, then this is going to be good, but it isn't quite pushing the envelope forwards for horror games, but it is doing some things differently, which I do like. But it does make you ask questions, and that is something I value very much in horror games. Games that make you question yourself and your surroundings, and, you know, what's in your mind and what's not, and all that kind of stuff. And it does seem to be interesting with its story. It does seem to be interesting how it sets everything up. Hopefully the full experience will have more gameplay depth to it, more interactions with the level design, better puzzles, but so far it is very linear, and I don't believe it opens up later on, but maybe it does. We'll just have to wait and see. I thought I would just cover this quickly because no one's talking about it, and just talk about what I've seen so far. That is a quick overview of Still Wakes for Deep review, because everyone will get to try this out on Game Pass very soon, and for this type of game, it's better just to go in blind, but I just thought it's worth talking about because it does seem like it is doing something like interdimensional, and I really do love that kind of thing. It is a very slow burn type of game, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It is a very immersive, and I think this would be much better in something like VR, for example. But some of the best horror games, like Soma, for example, are ones that ask questions, that have narrative depth to them. Doesn't mean that the gameplay always has to be, you know, survival horror. You know, just good horror is enough, but some more gameplay interaction would go a long way, so it might not be for everyone. But there you go, that is Still Wakes for Deep review. Just a quick early access look at it. That's part of my early access video series that I do, not a full analysis when a game is fully released. So bear that in mind, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.